Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 341 based on novel. So let's start. As Wang Lin slowly walked through the jungle, there were small snakes moving within the mud. He also saw some fist-sized toads jumping in the mud and water. They seemed to enjoy the rain. Wang Lin felt like everything was very strange after entering the cloud sea. He didn't know where he was and began to ponder as he walked in the mud. He had come here to avoid Tuo Sen, but with Tuo Sen's power, he could easily break the barrier between the two star systems. It seemed when that time comes, there would be no place for him to hide. Rather than constantly escaping, I should establish a foothold in the cloud sea as soon as possible. Once my original body has passed the 3 trials 7 calamities, I'll think about a path for the future. Wang Lin looked at his waist and below. There was a hint of worry in his eyes. The most important this is to blend into the cloud sea with the identity of a cultivator from the cloud sea. Wang Lin looked up at the falling rain. Like the snow from the alliance that merged with the rain, he had to do this as well. While moving forward, his body gradually became smaller and his hair slowly turned black. His appearance changed slightly and he looked like an ordinary, poor scholar. He walked out from the raining jungle. The rainy season on the continent of Mo Lua would continue for several months. It wasn't until the earth was completely moist, people's bones began to ache, and everyone smelled slightly of rust that the rain would finally stop. Whether it was the cultivators or mortals, everyone on the continent Mo Lua was used to this. For cultivators, they would either go into closed-door cultivation during the rainy season or leave the continent to hunt for fierce beasts. Except, during this rainy season, almost all the members of the only sect on the continent of Mo Lua came out into the rain and headed to the northern area of the continent. Rays of light filled the sky and seemed to open up a path in the rain. If one looked from the ground, they would see a meteor shower-like scene. As for the mortals, they were mostly beside their fireplaces, enjoying the warmth of their homes. They would sometimes look outside their windows. It was dull but warm. The North Water Village was just like its name. It was located in the northern part of the continent of Mo Lua and was within 500 kilometers of the jungle. The people of the village mostly survived by farming, but there were teams of hunters in the village that hunted in the nearby valley. The people of the North Water Village would organize a group of experienced people every rainy season to go to the jungle to capture water toads. During these months of rain, these villagers would go 4 or 5 times. Every time they returned, they would be carrying large sacks filled with living water toads. When these villagers returned, their families would all come greet them in raincoats. Even the children would excitedly look at their fathers, brothers, uncles, or even grandfathers when they brought back bags of water toad. They would always be in a joyous mood. However, when the villagers of the North Water Village returned from the jungle this time, aside from bags of water toads, they also brought back a person. This was a very ordinary youth, and he looked very thin. He seemed to be unable to withstand the chill and was wearing a raincoat a villager had gifted him. He silently stood there with a strange expression. There was a hint of melancholy and reminiscence as he silently looked at the village before him. Little brother sang, "This is our North Water Village. You can live here for a period of time until the rainy season passes. Then you can follow along the mountain path to Spring City." A burly man in a raincoat passed the sack of water toads to someone else and smiled at Wang Lin. Wang Lin revealed a smile as he clasped his hands and said his thanks. The burly man waved his hand and smiled. "I have never gone to school and have never learned any manners. Since we've met on the road, we are friends, so there's no need for brother to be polite. This rain is heavy, so quickly go inside the house. Mother of my child, quickly tidy up the back room and let brother Seng live there." The woman wearing a raincoat next to the man looked at Wang Lin and smiled. She didn't ask her husband who this person was and quickly returned home. After tidying up the back room, she also brought over a clean set of bedding. This burly man had a lot of prestige in the village, so a lot of neighbors came during the night. They naturally drank a lot of wine. Wang Lin sat at the side and held a bowl of wine. He looked at the mortals with a smile as he drank, and his heart was calm. After drinking, the burly men all laughed loudly. One of the men, who was more than 40 years old, took a bowl of wine to Wang Lin and said, "Brother Seng, our family's third brother said that if not for you, he wouldn't have survived that snake bite. This old man won't forget your life-saving grace." After he spoke, he drank the entire bowl of wine. Wang Lin smiled, then he picked up the jug of wine on the table and took a big gulp before wiping his mouth and saying, "This wine isn't strong enough." The surrounding burly men all applauded when they saw this. The host that allowed Wang Lin to live in the back room laughed. "Woman, go bring the 3 jugs of North Water Village wine. I want to let Brother Seng know we have some strong wine." The burly man's wife shook her head and went into the house. 2 more juniors followed, and soon, 3 jugs of wine were brought out. Time slowly passed like this, and in a flash, 1 month passed. The rainy season wasn't over, but the rain had lessened. There were even days where the sun would appear briefly and the rain would stop. Wang Lin was very popular in the village. Everyone seemed to accept this very quiet neighbor who was very good at drinking. The villagers also accepted him as a doctor. Many elders and villagers with stubborn disease witnessed Wang Lin's medical skills. They also accepted his exquisite wood carvings. Wang Lin was a carpenter on top of being a doctor. If time continued to pass and he could forget the crisis with Tuo Sen, forget the life and death of a cultivator, forget the schemes of life, then this was a life Wang Lin was looking forward to. He liked this peaceful life and enjoyed the village's joyous life. However, Wang Lin knew that this kind of life was like the brief sun during this rainy season. It would soon disappear. The cultivators of the origin sect arrived at the north part of the continent of Mo Luo. They searched and searched again for mortals who were qualified to cultivate. Some were young and some were middle-aged. As for white-haired elders, they also looked at them, but most were not qualified. Even those that were would not be able to achieve any result before their death. On this day, a cultivator arrived on the North Water village. This cultivator looked no more than 20 years old, but he was at the foundation establishment stage. At his age, with his cultivation level, he could be considered a leader among the younger generation. This cultivator's expression was cold, so he immediately frightened the people of the village. They all came out from their houses and trembled in the rain. The people of the continent of Mo Luo all knew of cultivators. They also understood that if this cultivator became angry, it would only take a moment for this person to slaughter them all. Zhao Yu frowned as he looked at all the mortals in the village. The rain bounded off 3 inches from him, keeping his clothes clean. The villagers were being soaked by the rain as the piercing cold invaded their bodies. The adults were fine, but the children were trembling due to the cold and hugged their parents. They had already been standing here for almost 15 minutes, but the cultivator still hadn't spoke. Immortal, the rain is cold and the children are weak. They can't stand this much more. How about, the burly man that had taken Wang Lin in began to speak. His little daughter was already frozen pale. However, before he could finish speaking, Zhao Yu's cold gaze flashed over and forced the burly man to swallow his words. Zhao Yu let out a cold snort and coldly said, "If they can't even withstand the rain, how can they become cultivators?" His cold snort contained a trace of his cultivation, and as it echoed in the ears of the villagers' faces became pale. As Wang Lin stood within the crowd, his expression became gloomy. He walked out from the crowd and walked toward Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu was startled and was about to shout, but then his eyes filled with confusion. His gaze moved from Wang Lin and onto the villagers, then he calmly said, "All of you, go back." The villagers were startled. They quickly took their children and rushed back inside. They didn't notice that as they scattered, Wang Lin waved his right hand. An invisible heat wave flowed into all the villagers' bodies and dispelled the cold. In the rainy night, Wang Lin walked ahead and Zhao Yu walked behind. He was no longer confused, but it was as if he had lost his soul. The actions of the origin sect lasted nearly a month, and they gathered 31 mortals from the northern part of the continent of Mo Luo. Among them, 17 were teenagers and the rest were youths. All of them were sent to the origin sect and settled down in the giant basin. The 4 great elders of the origin sect placed great importance on the 31 people, and they were split among the 4 elders. Among the 7 people picked by the only female elder, Lu Yanfei, there was a youth named Seng Nio from the North Water Village. Origin Sect Southern Courtyard. Although pavilions covered the basin, there were also buildings on the southern part of the mountain range. In particular, within a red forest that was red all season, there was a red pavilion. It had a number of dancing cranes carved onto it, and it was very beautiful. Lu Yanfei liked red, and almost everyone in the Origin sect knew this. Not only was her house red, Lu Yanfei even had a unique feeling toward red clothes. At this moment, Lu Yanfei was wearing a red dress with her hair spread out behind her. She quietly sat there, and her face was still pale as there was still sorrow that hadn't dissipated. This made her even more beautiful with a hint of red. However, even her 3 senior brothers weren't qualified to appreciate this lovely scene because their cultivation levels were a step lower than Lu Yanfei's. The peak Nirvana Scryer Lu Yanfei was the #1 beauty of the Origin sect, and she was very famous within the rank 5 domain. There were many people who had ideas about her, but due to her teacher's peak Nirvana cleanser cultivation, no one dared to make a move. However, now that her teacher had died, the Origin sect was in its weakest state. Right now, Lu Yanfei was holding a jade. This jade was purple, and she mercilessly squeezed it. Her jade-like hand even turned slightly white. There was humiliation in her eyes, but she could only endure. She even wanted to crush the jade in her hand, but when she thought of the consequences, the humiliation increased. After letting out a deep breath, she just barely fixed her mood and looked at the 3 female disciples before her, then she quietly said, "Let them come in." Lu Yanfei had only taken 3 disciples, and all 3 were female. The second disciple, Xu Yun, had the highest cultivation level. She was half a step into the illusory yin stage. Although Xu Yun wasn't as beautiful as her teacher, she was extremely delicate and had a gentle personality. It didn't take long for 4 pale-faced, trembling youths to enter. When they entered the room, they didn't even dare to breath. They lowered their heads and didn't know what they were doing. Lu Yanfei's gaze swept past the 4 youths as she softly said, "Eldest disciple, 3rd disciple, each of you take 2. Their talent is very ordinary, and whether they will become the spirit partner child will depend on luck. After 1 month, if they aren't recognized by the purple eye teacher left behind, send them home." 2 of the female disciples respectfully nodded. Then they took the 4 youths and departed. "Teacher, there are 3 more. They are a bit old," Xu Yun softly said on the side. Lu Yanfei looked at the purple jade and mercilessly squeezed it. After silently pondering for a moment, she shook her head. "There is no need to see them. Take them under you. Teacher still has things to do, so you can leave." Xu Yun hesitated for a bit as she looked at the purple jade in Lu Yanfei's hand. She opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something, but in the end she let out a sigh and respectfully left the room. It wasn't until Xu Yun left that killing intent filled Lu Yanfei's eyes. She was like a jade azura as she squeezed the purple jade. The humiliation in her eyes was completely replaced by killing intent. "Rudy, even if I, Lu Yanfei, die, I won't become your cultivation partner." There were 3 people outside the red pavilion. Aside from Wang Lin, there were 2 more youths. One of them looked simple with simple clothes. The other had a slightly evil look and wore a blue shirt. He had a bit of grace to him. Xu Yun came out with worry in her heart and looked at the 3 of them. When she saw the youth in blue, she frowned. "The 3 of you, hold still. I'll take the 3 of you back to the sect." Xu Yun waved her jade-like hands, then clouds appeared and took the 3 of them down to the bottom of the mountain range in the southern area. It didn't take long for them to arrive outside an intricate courtyard. There were a lot of plants planted in the courtyard, as well as several houses. When the cloud disappeared, the youth in blue turned pale and his body trembled, then he began puking on the side. It was obvious that the speed was too fast, and it was his first time flying, so he had lost his courage. As for the simple youth, his face was also pale. His body trembled, but he didn't puke. Wang Lin's expression was calm as his gaze fell on the plants in the courtyard and carefully looked at them one by one. Xu Yun looked at Wang Lin and her eyes lit up. She was very confused about Wang Lin's calmness. When she saw his gaze fall on the herbs, she couldn't help but ask, "You recognize them?" "Some of them," Wang Lin slowly said as he withdrew his gaze. Then he calmly said, "I'm a doctor." Xu Yun carefully looked at Wang Lin and said, "Since you recognize some of them, then you can stay here and take care of the herbs here." After that, she slapped her bag of holding and took out a jade. After concentrating for a bit, she threw it. This jade immediately flew off into the distance. This spell caused the simple youth to become very excited, and even the youth in blue revealed a look of yearning. It didn't take long for 2 rays of light to come from the distance, revealing 2 young cultivators. "Greetings, teacher." The 2 cultivators stood before Xu Yun and were very respectful. Arrange a place for the 2 of them to live and give them the chance for the first 3 layers. After Xu Yun gave her order, she walked into the courtyard. Then she turned around, pointed at Wang Lin, and said, "You, come in." This girl's turn and point would be a bit charming if her cold attitude was removed. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he walked into the courtyard. The fragrance of the herbs rushed into his face, and just one breath made him feel refreshed. Although he looked neutral, he was shocked. There were many herbs in this courtyard that were already extinct in the Alliance and all heaven. "You will live there." Xu Yun pointed at the wood house before her. She had already been observing Wang Lin as she felt he was too calm. If he was a cultivator, it would be fine, but no matter how much she checked, this Seng Nyo didn't have a trace of spiritual energy. This surprised her greatly. However, she didn't think about it too much. After telling him the method to take care of the herbs and giving him the cultivation chance, she ignored Wang Lin. She went into the house in the middle and began to cultivate. She was desperately trying to reach the corporeal yang stage so she could be of some help to her teacher. When she thought of the purple jade in her teacher's hand, Xu Yun felt bitter. She knew that her teacher's looks had caught the attention of many powerful cultivators. Now that the ancestor had died, many people's hearts were moved. When she thought about how her 3 uncle teachers refused to help, Xu Yun bit her lower lip tightly. "If I can't reach the corporeal yang stage this time, I can only take the soul-parting death pill." Thinking about the terror of the soul-parting death pill, Xu Yun took a deep breath. After pondering for a bit, she closed her eyes to cultivate. She recently had a bit of a breakthrough in her domain, so she wasn't far from the corporeal yang stage. After Xu Yun left, Wang Lin faintly smiled and looked around at the herbs before walking into his own house. He found that his house wasn't big. Aside from a bed, there was a wood table. There was an oil lamp on the table. Stretching his body, he lied on the bed and looked at the wood roof, revealing a relaxed expression as he did so. He hadn't had it this easy in a very long time. Whether it was the North Water Village or his current location, both had given him a rare peace of mind. After cultivating to his level, aside from cultivating, the most important factors were understanding Tao and law. Lying here, Wang Lin felt calm, and he vaguely grasped some ideas. True and false. Perhaps I'm between true and false right now, Wang Lin revealed a smile and slowly closed his eyes. It didn't take long for the sky to gradually darken. Now the room was completely dark. Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes, but he didn't light the lamp. Instead, he sat down and his hands formed seals, then he pointed at multiple parts of his body. After letting out a breath of foul air, his body split into 2. His avatar and original body split in this wood house in the southern courtyard of the Origin sect. His original body sat there, and everything below the waist was only bones. His bones were dark and there were faint, red lines across the bones. If anyone else saw this, they would definitely gasp. The original body was even worse than when he was at the Vermilion Bird Divine sect. It seemed like his injuries were even worse. In truth, Wang Lin had fused with his original body as early as when he left the Vermilion Bird Divine sect to save the Earthshore Dragon Divine Emperor in the Rain Celestial Realm. However, due to the original body's problem, even though they were fused, there wasn't much ancient god power left to use. Ancient gods encounter 3 trials 7 calamities. According to 2 size memories, only after reaching 6 stars should I encounter the first 2 calamities of the first trial. I didn't think I would face the first trial early. The first trial involves the flesh calamity and the bone calamity. Both are indeed strong. As Wang Lin looked at his original body, he waved his right hand. A crack to his storage space opened and fist-sized blood crystals flew out. All of these blood crystals released a blood light, but, strangely enough, the lights were all contained within the room and none of it leaked out. Wang Lin looked at the blood crystals as he waved his right hand and the blood crystals flew at his original body. They landed on the skeleton-like lower half and gradually covered that part of the body. His original body opened its eyes and then sank into the ground, disappearing from the room. He continued to sink until he reached the depths of the continent of Mo Luo. Then he closed his eyes and began to absorb the aura from the blood crystals. Wang Lin had searched through 2 size memories when his original body's 3 trials 7 calamities arrived early. After looking through the memories, he was enlightened and had a guess. His ancient god body was incomplete compared to the body of a true ancient god. It would be very difficult to pass the first trial without an ancient god's heart blood. However, this was only his speculation. Wang Lin wasn't sure if his original body could pass the flesh calamity of the first trial. As he pondered, time passed and the morning sunlight entered the room. The sound of the pouring rain also entered Wang Lin's ears. Even the morning air was damp during the rainy season on the continent of Mo Luo. Pushing open the window, countless drops of water would landed on the windowsill. Some even splashed onto Wang Lin's face. This rain was very cold, but cold rain in the morning could help one awaken. Looking through the window, the rain was strong. The herbs in the yard were a lot tougher than normal plants, so the rain did no harm to them. The rain fell on the herbs and nourished the roots. Waves of spiritual energy spread out from the rain. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he picked up an umbrella and walked out from the room. The sound of his feet landing on the mud mixed with the sound of the rain falling on his umbrella. Wang Lin listened to this sound as he felt the origin energy of the world. He was happy as he slowly walked forward. Xu Yun's cultivation session hadn't ended. She was still silently cultivating, trying to break through the illusory yin stage into the corporeal yang stage. She wasn't aware that Wang Lin had left, though even if she wasn't immersed in cultivation, she wouldn't know of Wang Lin's departure. After arriving at the origin sect, Wang Lin didn't hide his cultivation level. Given his current status, he didn't feel the need to hide it. However, without using any spells, no one could see that he was a cultivator, as no one could see through his cultivation. A Nirvana cleanser cultivator's origin energy was integrated with the world, allowing them to absorb origin energy from the world to use. As long as the origin energy inside his body doesn't move, then no origin energy fluctuations will appear. If this was all, Lu Yanfei might have seen something. However, Wang Lin had a sliver of source origin and had already seen the 3rd step. He had also experienced what it was like to be a 3rd step cultivator with the help of Celestial Emperor Qing Lin. Therefore, there was no one on this continent that could see through his cultivation. He held the umbrella wearing white clothes as he walked out of the yard and began to walk through the origin sect. He did encounter other cultivators, but they were all in a rush and didn't disturb each other. Wang Lin walked up the mountain from the southern courtyard. He didn't use any spell and used his body to walk toward the peak. The mountain breeze was very strong at the top of the mountain. At a glance, the clouds covered the sky and there was lightning flashing within them, releasing muffled sounds of thunder. Wang Lin breathed in the wet air, looked at the scene in the distance, and felt the origin energy of the world. Wang Lin's heart was calm. If not for the uninvited guest, he would enjoy this feeling. He was at a place where no one knew him. He was in a foreign world, savoring the smell of the rain by himself. "Who are you?" A cold voice came from behind him. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he turned around and saw a woman behind him. This woman wore a red dress that looked like a red cloud. Her black hair was scattered behind her, and the black and red contrasted with her slightly pale face, making her even more beautiful. This woman was very delicate, but on this rainy and thunderous day, she gave off a sense of loneliness and helplessness. Her faint hint of humiliation appeared clearly in Wang Lin's eyes. Wang Lin calmly said, "My name is Seng Niu." The woman in red coldly looked at Wang Lin and frowned. The name, Seng Niu, was completely unfamiliar to her. If not for the fact that Wang Lin was only a mortal, she would have already drove him down the mountain. Zheng Niu. The woman remembered that among the 31 mortals brought back from the north, one of them was named Zheng Niu. However, this person was simply too calm, and this wasn't something that could be faked. Leave this place, the woman said coldly. After all, she was a powerful cultivator and would naturally not make a move on a mortal. Although she was irritable, she maintained her calm. Wang Lin suddenly smiled and walked past the woman in red. He followed the road and was about to leave. The woman in red turned around and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's calmness surprised her. It has to be said that in the entire Origin sect, aside from her teacher, every disciple would be extremely nervous and respectful. Even her 3 senior apprentice brothers would show some respect due to her higher cultivation level. There was not need to talk about mortals, but this man before her was strangely calm. The gaze of the woman in red was like lightning as she stared at Wang Lin's back as if she could see through him. After carefully checking, she finally determined that the person before her was just a mortal. The woman in red let out a sigh and whispered, "Wait. Are you willing to listen to me?" Lu Yanfei had a very high status in the Origin sect, and most people were very respectful to her. Also, due to her status, there were some things that weren't convenient to speak about. The youth before her didn't have any cultivation and was a mere mortal. In Lu Yanfei's eyes, the difference between them was like heaven and earth. More importantly, the youth's calmness was infectious and unconsciously helped her calm down. She just wanted to find someone who could listen to her. At this time, during this rainy morning on this mountain, it was just the two of them. Wang Lin pondered and stopped walking away. He stood at the top of the mountain as he looked at the dark clouds in the distance and nodded. The mountain breeze whistled by with the rain. Aside from the wind and rain, it was calm. When I was 13, I was accepted as a disciple by teacher and stepped onto the path of cultivation. Lu Yanfei's voice was calm and filled with nostalgia. Her voice slowly disappeared into the rain. When I was attempting my breakthrough to the ascendant stage, teacher was willing to expend a large amount of herbs in the sect and even went to trade for more from other sects to refine me a heaven-deceiving pill that allowed me to reach the ascendant stage. I still remember that year. Teacher took me into the stars hunting. It took 3 years before he helped me catch a 6-eyed red fox to become my life beast spirit. Lu Yanfei slowly and bitterly spoke. She didn't care whether Wang Lin could understand or listen, she just looked at the horizon as if she was muttering to herself. Teacher has died. From now on, I'll never be able to see him again. Lu Yanfei had said a lot. Wang Lin stood on the side and silently listened. Time gradually passed and soon it was noon. The rain in the sky lessened gradually until it stopped. The dark clouds in the distance disappeared and the sky became clear. A bright rainbow hung over the sky, giving off an indescribable beauty. The Purple Dao sect caused teacher's death, and then their junior master sent over a jade asking me to become his cultivation couple. If I don't agree, then they will report to the main sect that they will start a war with our Origin sect, taking advantage of my teacher's death. The main sect never liked us. If the Purple Dao sect really requests it, then there's an 80% chance the main sect will agree. Lu Yanfei bit her lower lip, and there was a hint of bitterness in her beautiful expression. What is ridiculous is that my 3 senior apprentice brothers didn't dare to step forward at all and thought that this matter was set. They want me to sacrifice myself to bring peace to the Origin sect. However, do they really think that the Origin sect will be safe once I belong to Lu Hai? 2 streams of tears fell from Lu Yanfei's eyes, went down along her cheeks, and landed on the ground, mixing with the rain. She silently looked at the rainbow over the horizon and muttered, "There is a rainbow after the wind and rain, but my Origin sect's rainbow is bleak." Wang Lin's expression was calm. Seeing that the woman in red was finished speaking, he turned around and walked down the mountain. The woman in red didn't stop him this time and silently looked at the horizon. After a long time, she revealed a determined expression and killing intent appeared in her eyes. She looked back at the direction where Wang Lin went. This person's heart is on par with people at my generation. If he steps on the road of cultivation, he will definitely have great achievements in the future. Unfortunately, Wang Lin walked down the mountain and entered the courtyard holding the umbrella. Xu Yun was still cultivating when Wang Lin returned to the house, and his eyes lit up. I already knew from Zhao Yu's memories that this Cloud Sea star system would be very different from the Alliance and All Heaven. Now that I listened to the Elder of the Origin sect, it seems a majority of cultivators cultivate using spirit beasts. Their alchemy is also unique. The Cloud Sea was filled with fog, and inside the fog was a world that belonged to spirit beasts. Wang Lin began to ponder, especially when he pondered the words of that elder. There was actually pill that could help one reach the ascendant stage. Heaven-deceiving pill. Wang Lin's eyes revealed interest. He couldn't forget that if not for Ju Yi's ascendant crystal, he would have been burned to death by the origin flame. Those who seek Tao in the morning could be dead by dusk. This Cloud Sea star system actually has a pill to help cultivators pass the first life and death trial in cultivation. It can be said that the Cloud Sea's alchemy has reached a peak. There are probably pills that can even help cultivators at the second step. However, cultivators should focus on comprehending Tao, and pills is considered an unorthodox method. Yet why did the Cloud Sea star system develop alchemy to this degree? Wang Lin frowned slightly, but he soon relaxed. Could it be? There are pills that can help comprehend domain. Thinking about this, Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat and he let out a deep breath. Just at this moment, his expression changed and his gaze seemed to penetrate his own house before landing on Xu Yun. At this moment, Xu Yun opened her eyes and coughed out blood. Her face was pale. She had failed trying to break through to the corporeal yang stage again. This failure caused her origin soul to become injured. Xu Yun bit her lower lip and revealed a decisive gaze. She slapped her bag of holding and took out a pill. She crushed the pill without hesitation, revealing a black pill. The moment the pill appeared, it released rich origin energy, and there was also a faint soul force inside it. Soul-parting death pill. Xu Yun clenched her teeth and was about to swallow the pill. At this moment, a calm voice appeared. Stop. This video will end here.